I want you to take your time to imagine yourself in a party and you are, you know, having a good time and then maybe drinking and then you suddenly forget yourself maybe because you've taken so much alcohol and then you are now drunk and so you now forget where you are, and the next time you're going to be waking up you are chained with other people together. You are chained, and massively chained, and of course no one around. Just you just wake up suddenly chained with other people who were also drunk, and each of you are asking yourselves, why am I in chains? And you begin to put pressure on one another. I think you now you understand that you are in chains. The people around you too are in chains. There's those who are chained with you and all of that. And because they are wriggling, trying to wriggle themselves out of the chains begin to get tighter on every one of you. And then every one of you now begin to tell yourselves that, or you begin to blame the other person for the chain. Now, for you to make this chain tighter, it simply means that you are might have been the one, yeah, who has chained us together, so that you can use that opportunity to strangle us and make it look like you are not part of the chaining, and or the part of the people who put everyone under the chains. And so you begin to wriggle yourself out of it, and this other person wants to wriggle himself out of it, and everybody gets tighter in the chains, and everybody begin to blame each other and begin to fight each other for the chains that they actually didn't cause for themselves. They actually found themselves in, and it becomes a major problem. And then you now see some set of people come around and watching you, and they begin to tell you, no, this man is this one trying to wriggle himself out of this chain is the one who put all of you in this chain, because he's trying to make the chain tighter for you. And they begin to make you feel that each of you in the chains, or every one of you in the chains, are responsible for the chaining of every one of you. Now, that is the situation we have found ourselves in Africa, where we are all in chains and we are fighting one another to think that we can get out of the chains by fighting one another, because each of us are in chains. And we have the West, the slave masters, the politicians who are their stooges, making us believe that we are responsible for the chains. And most of our people don't want to reason. In fact, we have people who are ready to betray every other person just to get better, even in the midst of the chains. Now, imagine you're that kind of situation. Imagine yourself, being that stupid to imagine that, to find yourself behaving that way in the midst of the chains and blaming the other person in the same chains with you as being responsible for the chains. That's foolishness, because the two of you are, or the three of you, or the four of you, or the 10 of you, or 20 of you are in the chains. There's a need for you to break out of the chains, and all you need to do is to reason together. We're in chains. You might not be my brother, you might not be my sister, but we're in chains. You might not be my family member, you might not be part of it, but we're in chains. So we have a common problem, the chains. How do we get out of the chains? We must reason together to see how we can free ourselves, rather than trying to wriggle us, ourselves alone out of it and frustrate other people also in the chains. How do we get ourselves smoothly out of it without injuring ourselves? I want to welcome you to this live broadcast. Well, is it a live broadcast? I would say it's not a live broadcast anyways. It's just a submission, a video that you are going to be watching after the broadcast. So it's not live anyways. And I want to say to you, thank you for clicking on this video. We'll be doing lots of imagination, because I want us to really imagine. Now, it's not new to any one of you that in Africa we have a lot of problems. Lots of problems. It's not a lot of problems. Lots of problems bedeviling us. We are in serious mess. The food we consume, majority of the things we go to stores to buy and shops to buy, are poisoned. Some of you like to take your children to Mr. Biggs or any fast food, KFC, ShopRite. You want to go, you just want to make them feel good, and you want to look like a good father, a good parent, or good parents. You want to make them feel like you are the best for them. You want to show them that you love them. But the truth about it is that most of us are killing our children, because the more they eat out, the more they are going to be getting disease and sicknesses as they grow up, and you are going to still spend your money treating them, and they will be in the pains. You will be in the pain of you will be in emotional pain worrying about them. They will be in the actual pain, going through the pain of what you planted in them by making them feel good and taking them out for fast food eating. And then you will also be spending your monies, your resources to treat them, and maybe they might not survive it. Even if they're going to survive it, some of them might stay in drugs all through their lives, because the foods that we have out there, most of them are GMOs, genetically modified organisms. And the people responsible for the GMOs are the big companies owned by the globalists, people like Bill Gates and all these people who have hijacked global power and wanting us to eat poison so that we'll continue to fall sick. And then will now continue to come to their shops to buy medicines that their companies produce. Now, they have succeeded in making us love money so much that we are chasing after money. We're no more thinking about farming. And then they now buy our lands. They now hire the people they want to be in the farms, pay them very well, and then they give them the seeds that they have poisoned. GMO seeds to plant so that you can have GMO rice, GMO beans, GMO maize. The staples that we need are already designed to be GMO, so that when you plant them, they tell you. I was listening to Bill Gates the other day, and he was saying that these crops are going to be better because we will have less pesticides to apply on the farm, yes, and we'll not have to talk about pesticides. But the truth about it is that the chemicals used to impute in those seeds have been poisoned, so that they begin to cause cancer and other diseases in our bodies. And most of the foods you see in stores today are from the GMOs. You go to ShopRite, you go to Tantalizers, you go to Sweet Sensation, you go to KFC, you go to Mr. Biggs, you go to these places. The foods they cook, they buy these things. Most of them buy them from these big companies, big tech companies, or big agricultural companies owned by these globalists who have hijacked the agricultural sector in many nations of the world. You remember some years in the 90s, Zimbabwe was fighting serious battles about GMOs when the West was trying to force them to accept GMOs. Now it is no more in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in other parts of the world. In fact, I was reading a particular narrative yesterday, in a Nigeria newspaper, I think Punch newspaper, where Bill Gates was saying that Nigeria is one of the, is highly, the starvation and hunger is so much, and there's a need for supplies to be made. And you know where he's going. He's talking about GMOs. He wants to supply his GMOs. Now they want to reduce the population of Africa. They want to poison us. If we are going to survive it, then we'll be living on drugs. We'll keep living on drugs. And that is why I keep telling people, don't eat out. Because most of the things used in cooking the foods you eat out are poisoned. You see, sometimes we are so careless that we are mentally lazy to the point that when we are even advised, we don't want to take it. We want to get to the critical point of the situation, our health problems, and then we'll begin to now spend the little monies we have to treat ourselves. Now, it is very, very imperative that you begin to take advice. Now, I talked about the chains. Now, we are wriggling ourselves out, trying to force ourselves out of the chains, and yet we are entangling ourselves more, strangling ourselves with the chains. That is what we're doing in the issue of agriculture, in the issue of our feeding. I've told you that what Western education did, academic stuff, knowledge they gave to us, is to make you think about how you can make money. So we've been so much concerned about money, where our minds are so concerned about money, we are no more thinking about doing things that are normal to our culture and tradition. We are naturally farmers. We naturally want to plant our foods and the stuffs we eat. But today they make us pursue money. We are pursuing money, and they tell us that just make the money, you can always buy your food. Make the money, you can always buy the drugs. Make the money, you can always buy everything you need. You just need the money to get what you want. So no need to go into farming, no need to go into harvesting, or going critically into other aspects that would help you stay healthy. Just go make the money, and then you can buy other things. So they poison you with the foods that they have now hijacked. Of course, they hijack the farmlands. They supply the seeds, poison seeds, GMO seeds, and then they plant it, and then it grows into, some of them grow as some of the crops that will grow in 3 years will grow in less than 3 months or 5 months. And then they give it to you. You eat, you keep eating, you keep getting fat. You think you are enjoying, but you are getting obese, and you are being poisoned, and then you begin to have complications. Either you have heart problems, you begin to have high blood pressure, you begin to have kidney problems, you begin to have liver problems, and now you have to go and seek medical attention. The same place where they are waiting for you in the medical field, they have bought over the hospitals, they have bought over the doctors, they have bought over everything, the production of the medicines, and then you now go there. Their doctors will be the one to check you, and they tell you either you need this vaccine, or you need that drugs, that antibiotic, and all of that. You need this to actually keep yourself going and to treat yourself. And here now, they now subject you to drugs. And so they carry out the test, they tell you what is wrong with you. They are the ones who poisoned you with foods, right? Now they tell you what is wrong with you. Now, after telling you what is wrong with you, they make the recommendations for the drugs you're going to use. Their companies are the ones producing the drugs. Their companies are the ones producing the drugs. Then they give you the drugs, and the drugs are poison to the point where, as you are trying to treat high blood pressure, for instance, the drug is destroying your liver. So you are treating high blood pressure, and you are saying that your blood pressure is stabilizing, but your liver is going down, your kidney is going down. And so once you are doing that, and then suddenly another complication arises, your blood pressure is normal, but the drugs you are taking constantly or frequently is affecting your kidney. And then now you have kidney problem. You now go, they tell you that you have stones in your kidney. Now you need to start treating kidney. Now you now begin to pay for another kinds of drugs. You are taking drugs that are affecting your kidney, but remember, your liver is processing all of these drugs. Now you begin to have liver problems. Now along the line again, after some time, you go for medical checkup. They tell you that you need your liver is having some problems. You need to treat your liver, and then you get drugs again. The drugs taking care of your high blood pressure, the drugs taking care of your kidney, the drugs taking care of your liver and other aspects of your body, and then you begin to live on drugs all your life. You begin to live on drugs until you die. And of course, you won't live long, because they have programmed the system to make us depend on them, both health-wise and food-wise. And then, for us to remain in that confusion of not knowing what they are doing to us, the damage they are doing to us, they fund division. I told you about the chains, and we're fighting ourselves, telling ourselves that we're the ones who put ourselves in the chains, whereas they are the ones who did that, the British colonial masters and the West. Now we begin to have division, and along the line of the division, we go into wars. Now they are waiting for us. They're already producing the bombs, producing the armors and everything that we need to fight. And then they look at us, we begin to fight ourselves. This country, this tribe, this tongue, everybody, division in Africa. We want to fight ourselves. We want to make more money, because you are desperate for money. And money is the love of money. The real love of money, not money anyways. The love of money is the root of all evil. And because they have groomed us to love money, we want to make money at the expense of other people. You want to make money for yourself alone. You don't care about any other person. So you hijack, you steal, and people get frustrated and angry about themselves. And before you know it, it causes war. And then you have to go and buy these weapons from them. They're already waiting for you. They know you're going to fight yourselves there. Look at what is happening in Sudan. Today, Sudan is having the highest level of refugees and internally displaced people in Sudan today. In fact, it is so terrible that over 10 million people are at the verge of death. So hungry. I'm talking about living in hopelessness, despondency, total despondency. They are already preparing for their death. Children dying. I mean, it's so pathetic and terrible that in Sudan today. But what is happening in Sudan is fueled by the Western nations, by the so-called developed nations. They produce the weapons, they We have the RSF and the government. Some of them are funding the RSF, sponsoring them with the weapons. Some of them are funding the government, sponsoring them with the weapons. And so these two people are seeking, because of the love of money, they want to control more of the resources. This group feels that they should control more of the resources. The other group feels they should control more of the resources. Now they fight themselves. Now, the tussle, the West is waiting. As you fight yourselves, they tell you, oh, you have to try to stop fighting from killing people, but they are still supplying you the weapons to fight yourselves. They're still giving you the bombs, the ammos, the other things that you need, the tankers, the fighter jets. They are still supplying, producing them and giving you. And remember, their companies are the ones producing these things, just like what they are doing in Ukraine. They are funding Ukraine. You can imagine that the more you bomb, the more Russia bombs Ukraine, the more Zelensky is asking for more ammunition. Why? A reasonable person will seek for peace, but he's talking about because his children are not there. His children are not part of those fighting. If his children and his family members are part of those people fighting, he will not be doing all of those stuff. So you see, there is a deep-seated problem in our structure. Now, look at what it is. Remember in 2020, I think in 2012, 2011 or 10, 2011 when Gaddafi was killed, Muammar Gaddafi. Now, what happened? Gaddafi decided to cut ties with the West, decided to keep his resources within his land to make sure that the resources are used amongst the people. Some of you have seen some of the lists of the things Gaddafi achieved, the things he achieved for his people. Talk about those who want to get married. Talk about those who are out of school but don't have job yet. Talk about those who want to build houses. Talk about those who, the resources, the oil money, how it is shared among the people, how they're getting a percentage on them. As long as you're a citizen, you have a percentage. I talk about how he was building wealth around the people. The West didn't like it. They began to fuel rebels. Most of the rebels that you have in different countries of the world today, nations of the world today, are fueled by the West. There's a particular stuff I was listening to, I think several people who were interviewed, and they said Hamas became the monster of today because Netanyahu was trying to create division in the Palestinian society by supporting Hamas to head another government, and then so that the Palestinian Authority, PLO, will head another authority. So now if Hamas is having power at Gaza and Palestinian Authority having power at the West Bank, the two groups will be seeking to overrun the other, and so they will continue to be in division, and so they will no more be talking about Palestinian nations. Rather, these two will be fighting each other. And he was funding it and fueling it until October 6th or 7th. Is it October 7th that happened? Now he is now saying that he wants to destroy Hamas, but he fed the monster. I'm not against Israel. The nation of Israel owns the land. I believe that because it is scriptural. It is in the scripture. They have been on that land for a long time before they were displaced by the Roman Empire. I think in AD 70 something also. I can't remember right now, or AD 40 something. I can't remember. I've forgotten. Anyways, now but this displacement that came put them in the situation. Now they have to fight for their lands. Of course, by scripture, they will continue to fight their land. Nobody will be able to settle this matter until the Christ comes, because it's the Christ that will cause the redemption. In fact, when the Antichrist comes, he's going to propose a solution that the people will so much believe in him and accept him to the point that he will now begin to destroy them until the Christ comes to save them. But anyways, that's a story for another time, or a narrative for another time. I'm going to give a critical analysis about that. But what I'm trying to point out here is that the wars all over the nations of the world are funded by the people who claim that they want you to live in peace. They are fighting war against you agriculturally, fighting war against you health-wise, fighting war against you culturally. So you fight yourselves, and it has become so much of a big, business for them. And the only problem why these things are sustained is because we have not consciously accepted the fact that these chains that are on us is not by our making. We were carried away, we were unconscious, we got ourselves drunk, or we get ourselves we got ourselves, carried away, that we now were chained. We didn't even know when we were changed. And that's when we're chained. That's why we're in this problem. We're in this mess. So the more we keep fighting ourselves, the more we keep strangling ourselves. Look at Africa, where no nation of Africa is supposed to ask for visa when you're getting into their nation. No, it's not supposed to be. You are supposed to move from here to South Africa without getting visa. You're supposed to move like that without a visa. You're supposed to move. You can imagine coming between Ghana and Nigeria, the kinds of checks and the kinds of humiliation and the kinds of, it's like you are. You will see you will feel, you can touch the hate, you can touch the hate for one another, because we are not looking critically on unity. We are not united. We're not thinking of how we can be a nation. We continue to allow the colonial masters to keep us divided. We continue to allow ourselves to be destroyed by the narrative of the colonial masters. And the more we continue this, the more we are going to sink. We have 1/3 of world resources in Africa. 1/3 of world resources. And that is why their eyes are on us. And the only way they can keep stealing our resources is to continue to keep us divided. Why is an average Ghanaian hating an average Igbo, an average Yoruba, an average Hausa, an average Liberian, an average? Why is an average Liberian hating the other tribe? Why is an average Sudanese hating the other part of Africa? Why is an average South African hating the other part of Africa? Why is the average, I don't say Nigeria, because there's nothing. Nigeria makes no sense. Nigeria is a business name by the British. They brought the nations together, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa together, and put them together and named them Nigeria in 1914, so that they can administratively control that territory and then steal the resources, and then of course impoverish the people by making them believe that they have a government or they have a country or a nation. So the people will live in that illusion that there is a country and believing it's a country. So they will keep investing their resources to sustain it, whereas it is a business project that is stealing the resources of the people. And all they need to do is to keep you in that confusion that you are the problems to one another. Today, look at what is happening, the mess happening all over the place. The Igbos are fighting the Yorubas are fighting the Hausas are fighting, everybody is fighting everybody, including in the places where you think, even in other nations of Africa, this tribe is fighting that tribe is fighting. They continue to fund division, because in the midst of division, we would lose our guards and they will steal our resources. Go to Buckingham Palace today, gold everywhere. The carriage the king runs on, gold. The crown he's wearing, pure gold. Everything about him in gold is gold. Check out the presidents in the countries that produce gold in Africa. How many of them wear crown of gold? Their chairs is wood. And their country is the one producing the gold. Look at Democratic Republic of Congo today. Look at it. Today, Burkina Faso has decided to take back their resources from the colonial masters. Burkina Faso is doing everything to make sure that they now have their resources. The gold that is being stolen from their nation now, they have succeeded in revoking the licenses of some of the British companies and some of the Western companies that have been stealing them. They only get 1% from this stuff. 99% goes to them. And you know the worrying part is this: they take our resources. They take them free. Some of them, they buy them very cheap, below the normal price. They buy them below the normal price. And when they buy them, what happens is this: they use them, convert them into finished products in their country, and then resell them to us as finished products, very expensive. So the little money that we earn from selling our raw materials very cheap, we use them to buy from them very expensive, and then we don't even have enough money to complete it. So we have to borrow again from them, from what they steal from us. That's why you hear of IMF loan, World Bank loan, and all of that. When they steal it, they steal our resources by buying it so cheap, and some of them taking free of charge. Then they produce things with them, whether you talk about crude, whether you talk about rubber, whether you talk about uranium, whether you talk about whatever. They produce things very expensive. They now resell to us. We buy them expensive. Now, for us to buy from them, we need more money. But what we have is small, because what we sold to them was sold very cheap, very low. So we need to now buy from them. But to make more money to buy from them, we have to borrow from them again to add to our monies. And then when we borrow to add to our monies, we now buy from them. So we are going to still owe them. And then as we are owing them, they are making money by stealing our resources, and at the same time making money from we buying outrageous prices from them. And then making money from the loans and the interest they're going to get from us, which we are going to pay back with our own resources again. And then, in the terms of the loans, we now enslave ourselves further. Neocolonialism. We now enslave ourselves further. Let's stop this fighting. Please share this broadcast on all your social media platforms. I don't want to make it too long. I want to make it short, brief. This is 25 minutes already. I don't want to make it too long. So please, like this video. Let people hear this truth. Share on all your social media platforms. I'm going to be coming more with some of the details and facts that you need to hear, the things you need to know. I will be coming up for us to understand these things. And please, comment. I want to hear your comments. I want to respond to your comments. And also subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed. We all must do the right thing and change our situation. Thank you all. I love you all. And enjoy the rest of your day. Is okay.